Marston's Domain.
Hey everyone, Marson here, and today I want to talk about Nickelodeon's All-Star Brawl, because we just got news from an interview that happened with one of the developers that voice lines are something that they may look into. And I wanted to talk about this because I've gone back and forth on if the voice lines would really matter or not, and at first, when we saw that initial trailer, it really didn't bother me. I mean, yeah, I would have wished that they were there, but when I found out that they weren't, I didn't really think it'd be that big of a deal. But when we finally saw gameplay footage of just a match, it felt really empty to me. And that's where I started to really feel how no voice lines are really going to impact this game. I don't think it's going to impact the game in terms of gameplay or anything. I think I'm still going to enjoy it just as much, but it's weird because it has a huge impact on the fullness of how the game feels. To be fair, I haven't played it myself, I mean it's not out yet, but watching gameplay it definitely felt empty. And so with them saying that it's something that they're going to look into, I wanted to talk about this in general, because I think there's a couple things that could happen with this. So I'm not a legal expert, so I don't know for sure, but one thing that I thought of, which I feel like could cause some problems, is if when there's a tournament held at a venue, if they use a modded PC version, because I really do feel like the community on PC is just going to mod in voice lines anyway. This is something that Maximilian Dude talked about, and it's something that I think is going to happen too. If they were to use this, I don't know if that's something where Nickelodeon would have to step in and say, hey, you can't use this. Because I would imagine that even if Nickelodeon was cool with it in general, I don't know if legally they have to say, hey, you can't do this. Because I would imagine that the voice actors would need to get paid. And even if the voice actors were cool with it, I feel like it's just something that legally they may have to step in. I think that people modding it in general, I don't think they're going to care. I think that'll just kind of slide. But I think if it starts going to tournaments and venues, I think that's where maybe there could be a problem. Again, I'm not a legal expert, I don't know, but I just feel like they may have to step in. But if the developers add the voice lines into the game, then we wouldn't have anything to worry about. At least I'm pretty sure anyway, because something that I did notice was that the music in the game, that was something initially I was kind of worried about, because I was like, oh no, if we're trying to make content on this game and they're using music from the shows, I felt like that was just going to get automatically flagged. But it sounds like they're using music that's not from the shows. And I feel like that was actually done intentionally. So I would imagine that voice lines themselves probably wouldn't get auto-flagged. I think there would need to be a little bit more than that. But let's get into the discussion of, will they really add voice lines? Because there's a couple factors to this. One, is it going to be financially worth it for them to do this? Because in my opinion, I think they actually didn't do this because of financial reasons. I think it was a way for them to save on money because there's no telling how well the game will do. There's a lot of people excited about it, but that doesn't always translate to sales, and they wouldn't have known this anyway before it came out. So I don't know if maybe there's a threshold to where if it does well enough, they're like, okay, let's add these in. But then the conversation comes up of, okay, well, how are they going to add them in? Are they going to just take voice lines from the shows? Or are they going to have the voice actors re-record lines? Because if they have the voice actors re-record lines, then there's a problem with Oblina. Because unfortunately, the voice actor for Oblina passed away. And with the way that they did mention that they could add voice lines later on, it felt like a very, hey, we're not going to rule this out, but we're probably not going to do it. That's what it felt like to me. Because the exact quote was, our focus was on creating the best possible gameplay experience for core brawling fans and Nickelodeon fans around the globe. It is not as straightforward to do as one might think, and as we continue to build the Nick All-Star Brawl franchise, we will be reviewing all options, which may include adding voiceovers down the road. So with hearing that, it makes me think that it's not as simple as just taking clips from the TV shows, and then that would add further complications because they'd have to get a new voice actor for Oblina, which I don't think is impossible, but it's still just something where it just kind of sucks. But it's not something that has never happened when it comes to continuing a character. I mean, when you look at Bugs Bunny had to have different voice actors over the years, because Bugs Bunny has been around for so long. So to me, that quote makes it sound like it's not really that likely, in my opinion. I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, because I would love for there to be voice lines in the game. But if I had to give my initial response from that quote, I feel like they're not probably gonna do it, or that it's much lower on the list of things that they're working on. But when it comes to the overall enjoyment of the game, I don't think it's gonna be that much of a factor. I think in terms of playing the game, we'll probably get used to it, but you can definitely feel it, at least from watching the gameplay footage. And I think that's where, from even just a spectator's point, it's gonna feel kind of empty. And I think that's where it's just kind of a shame, because I feel like in a way it could kind of take away from some of the hype or crazy moments that could happen. Like if you're watching a match with Ren and Stimpy versus SpongeBob and all of a sudden you just hear, "Stimpy, you idiot!" And then SpongeBob just flies to the blast zone or something. I feel like there could just be really funny moments and just make some of the moments cooler in general if there's voice lines in there. And even when it comes to just playing with your friends, I think if a move makes the character say something and you just kind of start spamming it just so they keep saying it, I could already see there being funny moments where you're just laughing, just goofing around with friends. So all in all, I think no voice acting makes the game feel kind of empty. I think when we get the game in our hands, it's something that we'll get used to, and I don't think it'll affect our enjoyment of the game, but I think the game could be that next step up if it had voice acting in it. And in terms of them adding it later, I'm kind of doubtful on it. I just feel like off of that quote, it's not on the top of their to-do list, and with them saying that it's not as straightforward as we think, I would imagine that it's probably a costly thing to do, and to add it in later, I don't know how much financially it would make sense, because if the game already sold well, then they could add it just to please fans, but I don't think it'll relate to more sales really. And then if the game does bad, I don't think voice acting is gonna promote sales, and then they'd have less money to work with anyway to add voice acting. So that's all I really have to say about this. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think about all this. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like. If you want to stay up to date with my videos and live streams, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell. And until next time, I'll see y'all later. Take care, everyone.